not all seamoss is real. That's a big problem. Sebastian tried to warn Ariel that the seaweed is always greener in somebody else's lake, because if she looked at the world around her on the ocean floor, she would see wonderful things around her, and what more was she looking for? But we seem to be very preoccupied with what's going on the ocean floor, and if you haven't heard about seamoss and all the potential benefits, then I don't know where you've been. But really, what's the hype about seamoss? So we're going to be talking about that today, and I'll be answering 5 of the top questions about seamoss coming up next. Hi, if you're new to me, I'm Dr. Carmen, integrative doctor and health coach, helping you fix your period problems naturally. And if all things women's health is your jam, then consider subscribing. And if it's not your first time here, then welcome back. Now, seamoss is all the rage at the moment. Actually, it has been for a long time. And so if you've been considering using this supplement, you may have a few questions, which hopefully I'll answer in this video. But what is seamoss really? Seamoss is a type of sea vegetable, kind of similar to seaweed. So you can think of them as like cousins. But basically, seamoss is a moss or algae that grows on rocks on the ocean floor. It actually contains a natural type of thickener in it called carrageenan, and it's used to thicken up sauces and that type of thing. But seamoss has gained a lot of popularity recently for its seemingly infinite list of health benefits. So let's get into the top 5 questions that keep coming up about seamoss. Question number 1 is, what can you use seamoss for? And it's a bit difficult to answer this question because there haven't been many studies done specifically on seamoss. There's studies on seaweed, but not specifically on seamoss. But we can look at the constituents of seamoss and kind of infer what the potential benefits may be. Seamoss actually has like up to 92 minerals in it, and part of the reason for that is because it's really soaking up its environment. So it's rich in things like magnesium, zinc, B vitamins, vitamins A, C, and E. It also has copper and iron, potassium, and so part of the reason why it may have so many health benefits is because of its mineral profile. Now, because seamoss is a sea vegetable, it contains fiber. And we know that fiber can be really beneficial in a number of different health conditions. It can be protective for your heart health, can help you to lose weight and maintain a stable metabolism and blood glucose, and it can also help to feed and nourish the bacteria inside your gut, also known as the gut microbiome. So because of that, seamoss may be beneficial for your gut health and nurturing those bacteria and keeping them in balance. And we know that your gut health is central to your overall health and well-being. Hippocrates said that all disease begins in the gut. And a lot of the time that's because chronic disease is linked to chronic inflammation. So your gut health, super important for overall health and well-being. And so because of the fiber content in seamoss, it can be beneficial for that reason. Another way that seamoss can potentially benefit your overall health is that because it supports your gut health, a lot of your immune system is actually found inside your gut. And so by extension, seamoss can also be supportive to your immune system. It also contains some of those nutrients and minerals that we mentioned earlier. Importantly, things like zinc are super important for supporting a healthy immune system. And also seamoss does contain antioxidants, which help to reduce inflammation and calm any damage and tissue destruction that may be happening as a result of chronic ongoing inflammation, which is very common in chronic disease. Seamoss contains iodine, and iodine is super important for the functioning of your thyroid gland. And so just based on this information, we know that seamoss can be potentially helpful for maintaining blood glucose, reducing inflammation. By extension, it can potentially play a role in helping to prevent or manage any chronic conditions where there's inflammation at the root. Question number 2, what are the potential risks or side effects of seamoss? You may have seen people all over social media telling you that you can't have too much seamoss and that more is better. But it's important to note that not all seamoss is real. That's a big problem. We're going to talk about that just now. But I mention it here because it really depends on the quality of the seamoss that you are consuming. Because even natural seamoss that is harvested and wild crafted from the ocean can potentially be contaminated by pollutants. If you think about it, the seamoss is actually growing in the ocean. And so if the water that it's growing in is polluted, that seamoss is going to suck up all of that pollution, and things like heavy metals and other contaminants may be present if it is grown in waters that are highly polluted. Some people may experience tummy upset after ingesting sea moss, things like nausea, bloating, and just general discomfort. Part of that may have to do with the way sea moss tastes. It's from the ocean, so it has a very ocean-like taste, similar to like oysters. And it also, if you are taking sea moss in a gel form, has a very like triggering mouth feel for some people. It may be texture related. But some of the other side effects of sea moss are potentially linked to its iodine content. Importantly, this may affect the functioning of your thyroid gland. And that brings us on to question number 3, which is who shouldn't take sea moss? So importantly, if you have thyroid dysfunction, either an overfunctioning or underfunctioning thyroid, and particularly if you are on medication to treat your thyroid dysfunction, it's super important that you make sure that you don't take sea moss without discussing it with your doctor first. Taking sea moss because of its high iodine content may potentially aggravate and worsen your thyroid dysfunction. Likewise, people who are pregnant or breastfeeding, I would recommend not taking sea moss just because there isn't enough data to prove that it is safe in those conditions. Also, people who have kidney disease. So if your kidney function is impaired for whatever reason, then taking sea moss could potentially be harmful because of not only the iodine content, but also because of the potassium content. So if you are on dialysis, or perhaps you know that you have some kind of kidney impairment, maybe your kidney function is being monitored by your doctor, do not take sea moss without speaking to your doctor first. And then I'd like to add on to that people who have a severely compromised immune system for whatever reason. So people who may be on chemotherapy, or people who may have a severe immune deficiency, I would recommend not using sea moss in those instances, just because of the potential contamination that may be in these products, and also potentially because of the fact that certain sea moss in certain preparations can have a very short half-life. And if your sea moss is contaminated by bacteria or mold or fungus, and you just inadvertently end up ingesting that, and if your immune system is already very compromised, then this could potentially be a recipe for disaster. The next question about sea moss is, how do I shop for a sea moss supplement? With so many supplements flooding the market and the demand being so high, it can be difficult to know whether the supplement that you are purchasing is good quality or not, and if it is real organic sea moss in the first place. So some things to look out for are, where are you buying your sea moss from? So make sure that you are purchasing your products from a reputable company, a company with a track record that can provide some kind of proof or evidence of where and how they are sourcing their sea moss is super important. So being able to trace where the sea moss is actually coming from is one thing that a company should be able to do, whether you can find this information on their website or even ask them for a document to show you where this supplement is coming from. Oftentimes, companies who are unable to provide this information or hesitant to provide this information are usually not reputable companies. Also, if you are purchasing a sea moss supplement and maybe you don't have enough information about the supplement itself, but you are purchasing that supplement from a company or an online store that does its research about its supplements, then that's a good sign with regards to whether you can or whether you shouldn't trust a particular supplement. A good example in South Africa is Faithful to Nature. I love Faithful to Nature. They do a really good job at making sure that the supplements that they stock are of really high quality, and they do their research with regards to their ingredients. So if you're in South Africa and you're in doubt and you want to look for a supplement, Faithful to Nature is a good place to shop. Another tip is to read the labels of the product. So even before you purchase, you can request either a copy of the label, or you can just look at the label on the company's website so that you can have a little bit clearer of an idea as to what else may potentially be inside their supplement. A lot of the prepared sea moss, so not the like original actual sea moss, like the gels and the capsules, may have additives and other ingredients added to them that may not be the best health-wise. So have a look at the ingredient labels just to make sure that there isn't anything inside the supplement that you really don't want to be ingesting. So some other tips that I can give you when you are shopping for a seamoss supplement is to purchase the actual seamoss versus purchasing the gel or the capsules that have already been powdered and processed. The reason for that is because when you are purchasing seamoss in its original form, you will be able to look out for a few things that may tell you whether the seamoss is actually wildcrafted or if it's maybe been grown in one of those artificial pools. Here's a few things that you can look out for to know whether it is organic, real, wildcrafted, harvested seamoss versus grown in a pool. The first thing to look out for is the color. If you purchase seamoss in its original form and it's just the same color, like there's no color variation, it's just one color, then oftentimes that is a sign that that is not real wildcrafted seamoss. If you think of nature, there's so much variation and color difference in leaves, and seamoss is no different. You're not going to have seamoss that's just one solid color. There's going to be a little bit of variety, whether you have a type that is a little bit red in color, sometimes purple in color, sometimes a greenish brown color. There will be some variety in the color of that seamoss. So if your seamoss is just plain one color and it's in its original form, then it's probably a sign that it's not organic, wildcrafted seamoss. Another thing that some companies are doing is dyeing their seamoss. So if you are soaking the seamoss and you're noticing a color change, then that may be a sign that that seamoss has been dyed. Another thing to look out for is the taste and smell. So seamoss should smell and taste like the ocean, but seamoss that's grown in these artificial pools will have more of a like chlorine chemical like taste and won't really smell like the ocean. Another thing to look out for is the actual texture of the seamoss. So real, organic, wildcrafted seamoss will have really thin stems that will be like really chaotic and disorganized. But seamoss that's grown in these artificial pools tends to be a lot thicker and tends to be like less disorganized, like more consistent in nature. Another thing to look out for is the salt content. So typically seamoss will have a little bit of grit and like salt on it. Think about the fact that it's been in the ocean and that it's like on rocks. But seamoss that is grown in these artificial pools will generally tend to be caked in salt. So it has lots of salt on it and will also tend to be a little bit more moist than wildcrafted seamoss, which is completely dry and dehydrated. This is the reason why I suggest getting seamoss in its original form so that you can do all these checks and make sure that the quality of the product that you're getting is actually what it says it is. When it's already in the gel form or the capsule form or powder, it's very difficult to know where that seamoss comes from and if it's real organic seamoss or if it's seamoss that's been cultivated in one of these artificial pools. And then the fifth question that I get asked quite a lot actually about seamoss is, will seamoss help for PCOS? After everything that I've shared with you about the potential benefits and the contents of seamoss, there are a few reasons why seamoss may be beneficial for people with PCOS. So it does support your gut health, it's anti-inflammatory, and inflammation does tend to be something that is a common feature in people with polycystic ovarian syndrome. It also helps to support and nourish the bacteria in your gut, which is a major key in PCOS healing. And also it can potentially help to regulate blood sugar, may assist with weight loss, and it also contains zinc, which can help to reduce excess androgens. So the answer is that seamoss may potentially help to manage your PCOS symptoms. However, again, it depends a lot on the quality of seamoss, where you're getting it from, and also making sure that you're not just using seamoss alone to manage your PCOS symptoms, that you're using it in combination with the other lifestyle factors that are super important for managing your symptoms naturally. And if you want to learn more about how to manage PCOS symptoms naturally, then check out my PCOS Masterclass. The PCOS Masterclass is a live online masterclass where we deep dive into PCOS. The topics that we cover are PCOS 101, understanding your PCOS type, and steps to manage your PCOS symptoms naturally. There's also an open Q&A session after the class, and you're welcome to interact and ask questions as we go along. So if that sounds like something you'd like to attend, check out the description below for registration details. So in the wise words of Sebastian, we got no troubles, life is the bubbles under the sea. And if you haven't already, check out my PCOS playlist right here. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.